Welcome to Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, representing you and your Social Security and disability needs. If you have a problem or questions regarding Social Security and disability, call attorney Anthony Reeves. Here's your host, attorney Anthony Reeves.
Does it matter what type of health provider that you get for treatment for your mental health conditions? Yes and no. And let me tell you why I say this. Because typically what I found is in the mental health arena, most of my clients get treated by one of three different sources. You usually have either a mental health counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. Now, for purposes of background, here's what you need to understand. Most times your mental health counselors I've had are usually someone with a bachelor or master's degree, doesn't have the ability to administer medications, but are good for talking to clients for purposes of therapy. Psychologists. A licensed clinical psychologist typically have a degree in either have a degree in use a degree in philosophy. They're great at therapy and they can administer specific tests with regards to the limitations of a condition or conditions or problems that you have mentally, but they can't administer medication. Psychiatry is a medical background. From a medical standpoint, they can prescribe medication. Typically, I tell people it really just depends. The more common things that I see when it comes to doctors, providers for these people, for these conditions, is when they're part of a group setting. Like you have the psychiatrist that's prescribing meds, you have a medical psychologist that may or may not be administering tests and performing therapy, and then you have a counselor that's providing therapy, who's usually a mental health counselor. So if they're a part of a collective group, then it's usually not a problem. I don't normally see them individually, but it does happen on occasion where you'll see someone who is a mental health counselor and the person is just seeing the mental health counselor. They're not getting any medication, they're just going to the mental health counselor. Or they're going to a psychiatrist who's only prescribing medication, but not really providing them any therapy. So typically I tell people, if you say, well, which one is the best? It's kind of weird. At the end of the day, the doctor, of the one who is a psychiatrist, almost invariably is going to be given the greatest amount of weight because they're a doctor. Followed secondly by the psychologist, who is a doctor too, but they're not a medical doctor, doctor still. Then followed by the mental health counselor. Most people who come to me are getting treated in a clinic that has all of those three encompassed. So if you're going to one of those facilities, I always tell people, find out who's doing what, because it's usually a part of a team. But if you're going to somebody individually, like let's say you're not doing that and you're just going to a counselor on your own and stuff like that, I can tell you that they're gonna probably, they being Social Security, it's gonna probably look a little bit stronger at the psychiatrist as opposed to the mental health counselor. Now don't get me wrong, the opinion of that counselor will be taken into consideration because they're usually the ones that are seeing you on a more frequent basis. That's the thing that's fascinating. In most of those settings that I've seen, you'll probably see your counselor more than the psychiatrist. But the psychiatrist, for purposes and so forth, is going to probably be the one who's going to be given the greatest amount of weight. Because not only do they have the ability to counsel you, they can also